During the winter months, the railway staff's chief activity is maintenance. So almost everybody employed needs to have at least two skills, one for the running season and one for the winter. Railway employs some 25 people all year round, including drivers, fitters, plate layers and coach builders. Painting is another constant task. The normal wear and tear is exaggerated by the proximity of the sea and its salty atmosphere. Locomotive shed, where the engines are steamed, light repairs can be carried out. Probably the greatest tribute to their designer and their builders, Davy Paxman of Colchester, is that the locomotives have been kept in a fine, active condition for over 50 years of arduous service. After the railway had been running for a year, it was decided to build the two North American-styled engines. Henry Greenley designed them with a resemblance to the Canadian Pacific Railway, with a slight flavour of the Pennsylvania Railroad. They have bigger cabs to protect the drivers against the cold winter weather. Both are 462s, with the same boilers, cylinders and driving wheels as the British Pacifics. Travelling at speed across the marshes, they really give the impression of the iron horses that steamed across the American prairies. Drivers on the single line to Dungeness have to be in possession of a train staff before entering the section, making certain that two trains do not meet head-on. After passing under the main road at New Romney, the double track reduces to single, and from then on the train is never more than 100 yards from the sea. In general, Dungeness is either very bracing or very bleak. Half a mile before Dungeness station, the line divides to form a great circle, so that trains do not have to reverse. The end of the line, 14 miles from Hythe, with a normal journey taking about 70 minutes. The nuclear power station at Dungeness stands as a modern symbol of energy. Electricity, the clean power that probably has played the most decisive part in vanquishing steam railways. It was another source of power, oil, that gave the RH&DR its finest hour. During the war, the railway was requisitioned by the army and carried the sections of the Pluto pipeline that was laid from Dungeness across the Channel to carry fuel after the D-Day landings in Normandy. Then the 6th Battalion of the Somerset Light Infantry wanted some mobile firepower, so they fitted armour plating, Lewis guns and an anti-tank rifle. Some of this sting was lost, however, when the guns had to be removed to pass under low bridges. The train was never seriously used in action, but its crew always claimed that they shot down at least one enemy aircraft. In 1945, when the army left, the line was not in good condition. In fact, German prisoners of war helped to rebuild much of the track that had suffered through neglect. To celebrate the railway's 50th anniversary, the souvenir shop at New Romney had special first-day letter covers for sale. Commemorating 50 golden years of steam, they bore a special frank to show that they had been carried by the Bug. The Bug was used during the construction of the railway, an 040 tender engine that was sold once the work was finished due to her slow speed. She finally ended up on a scrap heap in Belfast. In 1972, her battered remains were found under tons of old iron, and she was purchased by Mr. McAlpine, has been rebuilt, and is now at least as good as new. The Bug's welcome return to the railway as she conveys the special covers commemorating the line's Golden Jubilee. 1957. Her Majesty the Queen, accompanied by the Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Charles and Princess Anne, visited the line. The royal children took turns to ride on the footplate of Hurricane and travelled in a special coach. In 1947, the railway celebrated its 21st anniversary and the post-war reopening, a ceremony that was widely publicised at the time.
When the Romney, Hythe and Dymchurch Railway, the smallest public railway in the world, recently celebrated its 21st birthday, Messrs. Laurel and Hardy were invited to the party. One of their jobs was to reopen the section from Romney to Dungeness. They also slipped gently aboard one of the trains and enjoyed a trip on this very comfortable line. At New Romney Station, they met the mayor and shook hands all round. Like all small boys, the two comedians were greatly intrigued by the outsized toy engine, especially Hardy.
The Jubilee Limited, another special train to mark the railway's 50th anniversary. The railway directors invited the Mayor of Hythe and other local officials to travel from Hythe to New Romney via the Dungeness Loop. Heading the train is engine number 1, Green Goddess. The Mayor of Hythe cuts the tape and all is set for the non-stop run. Two other passengers on this commemorative journey travelled on the very first passenger run 50 years ago. Mrs. Hay was 5 years old and her brother Ken Mills was 7. Their grandfather supplied the timber used in building the railway. The driver of the Jubilee Limited is George Barlow, the railway's operating manager and regular driver of Green Goddess. George is the longest-serving member of the staff, having joined the RH&DR in 1946. He must deserve a place in the record books, having driven the same locomotive for 30 years. Captain Howie died in 1963 and must be envied for having achieved his ambition. To have come from 100 miles an hour on the motor racing circuits to 25 miles an hour on Romney Marsh had made him a happy man. In 1968, the railway was bought by a group of local businessmen, but some expensive problems were looming. The railway was resold and is now a public company with over 400 shareholders, dedicated to the task of restoration and the continuation of keeping steam alive, with all its glories remembered. Today's children will never know the magic of long-distance, high-speed mainline steam trains, the barely held-in power of a locomotive waiting to depart, the eager roaring on the run, the quiet entry to them. The achievement not just of machine, but also of the skill and strength of the men on the footplate. The response of the many visitors, especially the young, gives faith and proof that the Romney, Hythe and Dymchurch Railway is succeeding in keeping alive some flavour of those proud days of steam.